You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Action! Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. It's gonna be a hoot, as always. We're gonna change the name from Reza Riffs to It's Going to Be a Hoot with Keith Reza and Victor Pachecho.
And Alan Lee sometimes.
And Alan Lee. Alan Lee actually did it yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And dude, here's the thing. He was doing so good. I was so proud of him. And then halfway in the interview, his computer turned off.
Oh no!
I was like, you almost. I was like, you almost got a perfect 10, Alan.
Dude, he you know what? For the time he was there, he got a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but I was like so proud of him because when you don't do podcasts, nothing against Alan, but when you don't do podcasts regularly, by whatever issues are going on in your world, you get a little rusty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was on fire. I was like, holy Lord, this guy would. And then his computer turned off. I was like,
oh Jesus,
maybe it's just me, but podcast 101 over Zoom. Victor, you know this because you taught a lecture. Make sure your computer is charged.
Yeah, or plugged in. You know what I mean? Especially if you have a laptop that can die. Like, I don't know, like unless you have like a horrible battery. Like I've had batteries that die 1% per minute. So in 100, like it's less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you're having like, and like, let's just say you have like 30 minutes left, but you don't know you have 30 minutes left. I don't know. But that's great to hear that Alan was doing great. That sucks to hear that Alan's computer died.
Yeah.
But maybe it was for the best, in the sense that he was going to go on a tirade.
Maybe. You never know.
No, I'm just trying to be optimistic. And then Alan that isn't what happened. How dare you?
You never know in the world of Alan Lee. So that might be possible. But
oh, absolutely. It's just listen and make sure we're not saying his name. We said his name. Like it's just the whole like opening remarks. But whatever.
There's also 1,000 Alan Lees, so it's not the Alan Lee we're talking about. But
yeah, it's Alan with 2 L's and an EN.
Yeah, but I was very proud of him. And so that's what happened with me. And then we had a little conspiracy last night, a little conspiracy theory last night.
Are you dating us? You're dating us. You're dating us with when we're recording this. If last night was the night.
Right. Oh shit. Yeah.
Sidebar.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No. I think it's good dialogue. I think it's good to talk about, but
it is good to talk about. But then if I release this in April, they would be like, "What the fuck?"
April of which year? Don't answer that question.
They'd be like, "What the fuck are these guys on? This happened in January or whatever."
And then our guest, he's going to come on and talk about what you were about to talk about. Like, hey, did you see that last night? It's just like, yeah, we were talking about that. Total conspiracy.
Okay, so I have a theory because I was watching the game last night, and it was the Bills versus the Chiefs. This is how dated it is. If you guys are listening to it, just know I recorded this the night after, but I'm releasing it 5 months later because I'm cool. And so the kicker, who's the best kicker in the whole league, right? He never misses a kick. He had a 30 or 35 field goal kick to tie the game, and he missed it, man. He didn't just miss it. He like missed it bad. So the Chiefs won, and I have a theory that every player and every coach on the Chiefs like DM'd him or something and said, hey, if you miss this kick, we're all pitching in $5,000 each. And if you're a kicker, you're the least paid player on the team, I think you make the same as the average water boy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my goodness. I'm just happy this isn't coming out on ESPN. Otherwise, both of our lives would be in danger right now.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of like reluctant, like, don't talk about the conspiracy. But it's not a conspiracy if it keeps happening every week with every game.
Exactly.
So that's why I stopped watching football. Not to mention I used to be a Raiders fan. Now I'm not even a football fan. Also,
Yeah.
with stand-up comedy, if you have a show on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, it's
Uh,
bad.
I'm
It's bad.
I'm listening. Just our guest, the great Louis Katz, just asked me if I sent the link.
That means that you totally did not.
No,
So
I did. Just
no, 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 not. I mean, you're gonna have to send it in that same place where you sent that message right now, in order for him to get it and be like, boop, boop, boop.
oh yeah, maybe.
You
But
know
no,
what's funny?
I did. He's just a popular, so all his emails get.
I sounded like you had like a little like Italian accent. He's a popular. He's
He's
a
just
popular.
popular.
He's a popular. The Louis Katz. He's a popular. But
He's
no,
a he's a
no,
popular guy.
he's funny. He's hilarious. He's been on the scene for a long time, and he's great. So that's awesome. I know it's gonna be a great interview because
Because you're here.
you're so sweet, Keith. You should just change your name to Sweet Keith.
Yeah.
There's a sweet James
This
who's a
is
lawyer.
Victor throwing Alan Lee under the bus. It's gonna be a great interview because I'm here. All right.
You mentioned it, bro. I didn't mention it. I was just here. No, I like Alan Lee. He's cool.
No, Alan's great. All right,
Yeah,
our
he's-
guest. You see him on Comedy Central, HBO, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. The great Louis Katz. He's in the Zoom studio right now. Says he's connecting the audio, which is cool. All right. Hey Louis. Hey Louis, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you? Can you see me?
I can, yes. How are you?
Good. And the sound is okay?
The sound is perfect.
Sorry about all the runaround, man. Thank you for accommodating me. I'm sorry I've been such a pain in the ass to get on the show. I'm sure by now you kind of are over it.
No,
sorry.
I appreciate it, man. I understand you're busy and you're one of my favorite comics. So I was like,
Oh,
hey,
thanks.
I'll do whatever I can to interview the great Louis Katz.
Thanks, man. Who are you?
Oh, I'm
The other
Keith.
guy. No, the other guy.
Oh, right.
That'd be great if he was talking about you. He's like, who the fuck is-
this is Victor Pachecho. He's the trusty sidekick.
hey, what's
Oh,
up?
hey,
Louis?
Victor.
Good to
How's
meet
it
you.
going?
Great.
Nice to meet
Yourself?
you too.
How you doing?
I'm good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice to
So
be here.
a trusty sidekick is for like when you and I, tell jokes that don't land, he'll laugh.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah,
I didn't laugh right there. I didn't laugh
Yeah.
right there. That's not true. That's not true. I
Yeah,
do
not
laugh.
doing your job. You're not doing your job. That's all that means.
I can't believe a white guy took a job from a Mexican. That's the first time ever. I mean, besides in the tech industry, but it's okay.
No, but Louis, I wanted to ask you just straight off the bat. Do you think that's easier for you to be interviewed by fellow comics or fellow celebrities in the game compared to like normal people who don't really know what they're talking about?
Not necessarily. It's skill in and of itself. It's like a journalist. Most journalists aren't comics.
Yeah.
Most journalists are journalists. So there's that. Yeah, I don't think necessarily. I'll tell you what. It was good to have shorthand. My therapist is this guy who's like is the New York the New York therapist that sees all the New York comics. So that's good to have shorthand with. A therapist, I prefer a therapist who knows comedy. But for podcasting, not necessary.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be podcasted too. It could be press print, but I don't know if they do press print interviews that much anymore.
No, they do. I mean, I was just on a morning show like yesterday, 2 days ago, and to promote a show. So that was like a little interview. I'm sure it's like they're less superficial questions when it comes to maybe than because they know what they're talking about. They're not asking this like, so how do you come up with the stuff? You don't have to answer those like goofy, like it's almost like you're being interviewed by your like aunt or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not that stuff. So the comedians do have better questions a lot of the time.
Yeah, good, excellent. Because I threw away all those questions because I.
What do you got for me?
No, man. I wanted to ask you. Do you think that stand up has like, how has it changed from today's world from when you first started? Like, do you think YouTube has helped it or ruined it, or podcasting has helped it or ruined it?
I mean, you have to realize how old I am. So stand up, I'm very old and I've been doing stand up a long time. So, I mean, there's so many ways that stand up is different now than when I started. I mean, I'm really, it's like that. Not everyone had cell phones when I started. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just a different world when I started. There was no YouTube when I started. You know what I mean? So it's vastly different. It's interesting. It's interesting in that there's no gatekeepers now, right? Anyone can put their special on YouTube. But you know what? I don't know. Lately, I've been like, I miss the gatekeepers. Like, there's too much stand up out there. The market's kind of flooded, and it's not all good. And people don't know how to. People don't know when it's good or bad. They're just seeing stand up, so maybe they see bad stuff and think, well, this is what it is. And also, now that everyone can put it out for free on YouTube, we're not getting paid for our specials, you know?
No, exactly.
So that's, and I don't know where that ends, you know? I just, I did my first YouTube special, just released in October, present tense. And I was excited for all these people to see it, but I need to talk to my fellow comedians who've been doing this YouTube special thing for a while now. Cause like, what's the end game? We're just putting things out for free now. I mean, it's just a little crazy to me. I understand we're supposed to make the money back on ticket sales, but it's still a little crazy. I mean, the other way it's changed, podcasting has changed everything. That's like a whole different thing. I do feel like a lot of podcast comedians are mostly, or not a lot of podcast comedians, some big podcasters are more podcasters than they are comedians. How about that? You know what I mean? And I think I think you got to concentrate on stand-up's really hard, man. And when you're distracted by anything, acting, writing, anything besides stand-up, it's kind of hard to do. Some people can, some people can't. I don't know. So
I appreciate that dig towards me. So that was awesome.
dig towards every comedian besides myself who has a pod. Every comedian has a podcast except me. It's just the most bitter thing I could have said. Everyone else, they're not good. I'm doing it the right way. I'm just a bitter asshole.
But no, I agree with you, but I disagree to a point because I feel they're still gatekeepers. I feel everyone thinks they're a gatekeeper now. So I feel like if you're not tight with one cliche, they won't let you in this club or the next club. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess now that everyone has a big podcast, there are all these, but there's so many different ways to get in. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why I'm like, it's my special's been out for 3 months now. I'm still doing podcasts like yours and other podcasts because I know that for every one group, there's another group that doesn't even know the other group exists. That's the weird thing about the internet is that it's all little niches. You know what I mean? And sure, there's like that Rogan universe, but and those are all kind of related, but they don't know about anything outside of that. Like I did my Kill Tony episode came out last week. People came to my shows in Sacramento this weekend. There was people who said, "Oh, I'm a huge Kill Tony fan. This is my first live stand-up show." So you know what I mean? So it's like they're not even necessarily the same. They don't even see it as I know it's a stand-up based show, and yet it isn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a different thing. So there's people that are, I don't think how much crossover do you think there was between doing Mark Maron's podcast and the Kill Tony podcast? You know what I mean? Maybe two people that listen to both of them,
Or if they're big fans of you, maybe there's more.
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
If they've never been to a stand-up comedy show ever, they've just been to a live podcast taping, and you were so like really like appealing to these people, and they're coming to the show and this is the first time coming to stand-up. I think that you really had a positive impact. Because if they've never been to stand-up comedy before, they just been to like a podcast recording before, like that really shows.
I'm not saying a podcast recording even. I'm saying they're watching it on YouTube. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a thing they watch on YouTube, and it's not necessarily related to live stand-up, even though the show is totally about live stand-up, if that makes sense. So I don't think they've been to see Kill Tony live. You know?
Oh.
So I have one quick question before we move on, but did you succeed in killing Tony?
He's still alive.
Okay. So you failed. All right. But no, like, we're talking about podcasting and stuff, but podcasting is also transformed into a credit, like when you have credits under your belt, like legit real credits, like HBO, Comedy Central, but now like there's a lot of comics who have these credits that they can't really get in the clubs anymore unless they're on, like, for example, Joe Rogan or Kill Tony or something that really pushes the sales,
Sure. Well, I mean, so that's like I mean, I was saying that stuff before, and I do think it can be a distraction. But then again, I think it's and I'm saying the exact opposite thing as what I said earlier. But I really think it is impressive the way these people have built their own kind of media empires. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's very cool, and it's like I don't. So there's new gatekeepers, like you were saying. So it's true. It's like I could have. I don't know if I would have got more views for my special from doing the Tonight Show than I got from doing Bobby Lee's podcasts.
Yeah.
Bobby Lee hooked it up. You know what I mean? Like Kill Tony hooked it up. So I don't Tony Hinchcliffe, and so you know what I mean. It's like so that's the weird thing. It's like there's new gatekeepers in a different way. You know, it's like you just have to reach these audiences one way or the other. And I think it's honestly, I was saying, like I said before, but I think it's very smart to say like you're not going to let me in your club. I'm going to start my own club, and this is it. And I'm going to build my own thing, and people are going to come see me. And
Yeah.
I do think that's commendable. So you know, I'm being a hypocrite, but that's that's life. So
If you were to run your own comedy club, what would you call it? Like, would you call it Comedy Night at Louis or the Katz Room or something?
I don't know. We definitely have to workshop. I'd say neither of those for sure. Those are both off the list. But
Definitely not those.
definitely not those. That's all I
Definitely
can say.
not.
Those are out. Okay.
Yeah. But I've always dreamed of having a comedy club. Maybe I will someday. I don't know when I've given up.
Oh yeah. It's I help co-book a comedy club, and I gotta tell you, it's not that fun because it makes me feel like I'm less of a comic. You know what I mean?
That's what I said. When I give up, I'm gonna own a
Oh,
comedy
okay.
club.
All right. I didn't. But hey, I wanted to ask you, like, how is it like preparing for stand up on the TV, like on a late set compared to, because when you do clubs and you do your special, you don't really have a filter. You could do whatever you want, but if you do like
Mhm.
late night, you have to, there's certain rules that they tell you can't say for whatever. And you're kind of a dirty comic, so I want to know, like, how do you prepare for that?
Well, it's hard, I mean, a couple things. One, I just say it's doing a late night spot is a different animal than almost all the rest of stand up. So it's almost silly that for a while it was like this the thing you had to do to get a following because you're never doing just 5 minutes in the middle of a show of other things where the main focus isn't stand up. It's not even the format we do. And 5 minutes is so short.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to do. It's kind of its own thing. And yeah, it's hard for me to get on because I'm not even that dirty. Well, I guess I'm still somewhat dirty, but like I just tried to get on the Tonight Show, and I was too negative. I guess you can't even be negative now. Not just dirty, but you can't be negative. It's like if I'm not going to be negative, or if I'm not going to be dirty, I'm going to be negative. So I don't know how I'm supposed to do that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I said, it doesn't. I don't even know if it matters anymore. So it is a different thing. It's really like honestly, that's like old media, and I don't know how much sway they have anymore versus these podcasts. I
No,
think the podcasts are more powerful than those shows for getting the word out. It's
no,
good to do both, but still.
yeah, definitely, I agree. But it's still my dream to do a late night set, even
Sure,
though
man.
that'll probably never happen. You know,
Sure.
because
Get on Carson. Be
oh
asked to the
yeah,
couch.
yeah.
It's all gonna happen for you.
You wrote jokes for Carson, right? That got read
But
on the air.
yeah. I did a little thing when I was a kid. I grew up in LA, and then
A kid who got his jokes on Carson. That's actually really
yes.
impressive. I saw that. I'm like, oh, I don't know when you're going to chime in about this, but I mean, me personally, and I'm talking to myself. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to bring this up. But if there's an ample opportunity, I'm going to bring it up because I'm just like, oh, well, Carson, you wrote jokes that got on Carson. And like,
Yeah.
he might have been a kid, but that kid was a comedy genius to the point where
Come on. There's
in the making, genius in the making. How about genius in the making?
I don't know about any of that. The truth, and
Ah,
that first of all, you got to understand that is a real credit, and those are really my jokes.
yeah.
But also, it's like he's sending out prompts to elementary schools in LA and getting them to answer questions because it's like kids say the darndest things. So he did
Right.
close on mine. He did read two of mine, but he also read two of my friend my friend Ari's jokes. He read my friend. You know what I mean? Like I know when I watch the whole clip, I remember other kids from my class who got their jokes in too. But mine was the closer, and I'm a stand-up comedian, so it matters for me, not for them. So I'm not some magical genius. They
But if
sent
he
out.
closed on your material,
He
then
did close on my joke. Yes.
okay, then you're just being very humble. And
All right.
I mean, anyone else would have been like, I wrote for Johnny Carson. I wrote for Johnny Carson. That's it. You know, you have Comedy Central, HBO. You know what I mean? An extended special that's out, and it's just I wrote for Johnny. Did you write for Johnny Carson? Have your jokes ever appeared on Johnny Carson? No.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Of course
this
not.
business keeps you very humble. So,
So how cool were your family when they saw the jokes on the Carson? Like that must have been cool, right?
oh, they loved it, and it played on a tape loop on a TV and VCR at my bar mitzvah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, that's awesome.
Oh my god.
Did that help like facilitate talking to the ladies?
No, nothing did. I was 13.
What?
I was 13. I had a very bad haircut. You know, I have a regular barber that I went to my whole life when I had hair. And you know, he's a great barber, but he tends to choke if you tell him it's something important.
Oh
And
no.
kind of
Oh,
I
no.
shouldn't have told him it was a bar mitzvah. I learned my lesson. You got to not tell him it's a big haircut. You just got to tell him it's a regular haircut. Or also, I think maybe I asked him for something ridiculous. Basically, I have a bowl cut for my bar mitzvah. I have long hair down to there. It's like not good.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, I did a talent show in 7th and 8th grade
Cool.
with stand-up. I won both
Awesome.
years, and every time I'm like, I'm wearing a suit and I'm gonna get laid right after my set. None of that happened. I mean, I wore the suit, but I did not get laid. But I was just like, I'm gonna get laid. I'm 12 or 13 years old. I'm a fat little Mexican kid in the suburbs, but I just won the 7th and respectively the 8th grade talent show. And it's just like, I thought I was going to get laid. So when I was like, you wrote for Johnny Carson, did you think you were going to get laid? And actually, I was like, Louis Katz definitely got laid. He definitely got laid. There's no ambiguity about it.
I was 8 when I wrote those jokes.
I was 11. I was 11 when I won the talent show, and I thought I was going to get laid. So maybe, I don't know.
Well,
so sorry.
Both of us will just stay with dry dicks forever. That's just our thing. We're the incels of comedy.
So
That's a great name.
when you started doing comedy, when did you start getting hooked up with Dave Attell? Because that's how I know you. You know, I saw you open up for him once, and I know you do a lot of the road stuff with him.
Well, that's another really cool thing about when I started was when I started in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was very dirty. I was even dirtier back then, and so I could only work with other comics who were okay with a dirty opener, and that's how I met and made some of these relationships that I have to this very day. So the very first comics I worked with were Dave Attell, Doug Stanhope. You know what I mean? I met Mark Maron and Greg Fitzsimmons, who both had me on their podcasts. You know, and those relationships are from me working with them at those clubs, like, you know, 20 years ago. Yeah. So, you know, it totally paid off. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome though. Like as a comic, like, cause like Dave Attell is one of the best. You know what I mean? So like, you could learn so much just by watching him too. And it really helps your comedy too.
Yeah. You can learn a lot, but also there's things that he does that I will never be able to do. I mean, he's like, there's things that there's literally no other comedian that can do what he does. I think his brain should be studied by science after he dies. I'll dig him up. I don't care. I'll dig. but the guy's brain is like amazingly quick in a way that's like, it's kind of ruined other crowd work for me.
Right.
Because I'm like, this is all right. But the way Attell does it, he's developed his own forms of jokes that other people that are totally original. He's so quick. I mean, it's really like I can't even. So there's like the tightness of how he writes, and the way he writes that I can learn from that. But as far as like how quick he is, I can't learn from that because I can't do it. I can't do it.
Right.
I'll never be able to do it.
Well, I said the same thing about Norm when he died. I was like, they have to study his brain for science because he was so, like, everything he said was just gold. You know what I mean?
Let's dig him up. All right, sorry, I gotta stop saying it. This is not. I'm trying to get a catchphrase going. You know,
let's dig him up. Yeah,
Dig him up. That's a
he-
shirt. That's a shirt.
yeah.
Dig him up.
He's
Dig them up. So
he's
they're gonna get in trouble for
cremated,
being
so you
sexist.
can't do that. But
Oh,
I remember when I saw you guys, and I like Dave Attell also, like he's like the one guy in the world who thinks Ron Jeremy's funny. You know what I mean? Like, so I think like that's kind of because
what do you mean?
Ron Jeremy was at the show. He was in the audience. He was just riffing with Ron Jeremy or something. And everything Dave was saying was killing. Everything Ron was saying was bombing, and Dave was just laughing.
Well, you understand. You have to understand that he's experiencing this in a different way than you are, and so he is getting to see Ron Jeremy say things at a show. You know what I mean? He doesn't.
Yeah.
It's for him. It's not for you. It's for
No,
him.
no, yeah.
You know, it's like, so he's facilitating whatever a fantasy he's got. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to ask him, but like, you know, he gets to. He's appreciating it in a different way than you are. You know.
Oh no, definitely, yeah. But it was a long
Also,
time.
but also the way Dave's so good that it doesn't matter if he's talking to someone and they're kind of bombing or whatever, because he will be funny, so he can pick up the pace. It's like it's a weird balance with him, because I sometimes when I open for him, I usually close it out with him going back and forth on stage, and it's scary because he's so quick. But if you can flip it in your mind and realize that's like a safety net and that he will make it funny again, it's kind of freeing in a way.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And Victor, you got any questions for Louis?
Yeah, absolutely. So you started off in the Bay Area with stand-up, or I know you grew up in LA, but then you went to UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Did you ever perform at the Brainwash? And do you have any like stories for any of the comedy that you did in the Bay Area? Because that's where I started comedy.
Yeah, sure, of course. Brainwash was like probably like the third place I ever performed. You know, who knows? I mean, definitely the guy who ran and still runs a lot of the open mics in San Francisco, Tony Sparks, was my original comedy mentor. I did an open mic on Market at this place called, I think it was called the Luggage Store. I can't remember. It was like an upstairs art museum where they had mics once a week. I saw it. You know, this is what I'm saying. I'm so old that like I found out about the open mics because I looked in the back of the weekly, arts magazine, the LA, the like
OC Week,
East Bay Express or the SF Weekly. You know what I mean? I saw comedy listings. I showed up to that. I did it. I went outside. I was like, "Hey, do you have any tips?" And Tony Sparks, godfather of open mic comedy in San Francisco, he broke down rules of stand up for me that I still follow to this day, and advice that I give to other people too. Just the basics, like record every set and listen to those recordings. Write things down when you think of them. Always have a notebook. Get on stage as much as you can. Like, which sound obvious, but like, it was my first time doing it, or maybe my second time ever doing it, and he just broke all that down for me. So he also ran the Brainwash, which is a legendary coffee shops / laundromat where they had open mics for years.
No one believes that. No one believes.
No one believes
laundry
laundromats.
Unprompted, a cafe / laundromat with you can't go to the bathroom. Somebody's shooting up in the stall.
Yeah, well, once, so they changed sometimes where the stage would be oriented. Sometimes it was on the back against the wall, and sometimes it was on the other side against
the window,
panes of glass. So one time we're doing it's on the window glass side, and the guy before me is on stage. This guy's looking from behind the glass outside. He headbutts the glass, put his head all the way through, pulls his head out. There's glass shards sticking out of his neck, and just walks away. And then I feel bad for the person on stage, but also it was hard for me to follow that. I had to go on after that. It was not a good setup.
The worst is when you do a laundromat and like the stool, the stand-up stool is right in front of the quarter machine. You know what I mean? So you're like, oh fuck.
Dude, sorry.
No, I was gonna say it was a separate room. It's not like it's like there's laundry going around and it's so loud. It was like there's a cafe on one half, there's laundry machines on the other half.
Louis, I respect the hell out of you for giving props for actually describing the place exactly how it is and giving Tony his flowers, because Tony was actually one of the first, like he legitimately has been there for a lot of people, not just open mic comics, but like showcase comics and club comics and
Yeah.
touring comics. He's been there for everybody. And
Yeah.
like like you were part of the people of the names that were on the list of who's performed at the Brainwash. And I'm like, so I wanted to bring it up, not like, oh, I'm calling you out. It's just more like Tony really made that mic great. He made the showcases there great too. And so like when it closed down, it was really sad for a lot of people. It was really sad for me because it was like right after I did my first weekend, I was like, okay, I'm going to go in on Monday, humble. I'm going to do new jokes. That's what I'm going to do. And then it was closed. And so it was like really sad for me. And so like, the fact that you're bringing up Tony Sparks, like unprompted, like I really like, I mean, he's been on my podcast. I love Tony. Tony's a great guy. So I just love hearing it from other people that I did not see at the Brainwash when I was there. And I knew obviously you were there before me. So it just really
Sure.
it resonates a lot with me. So that's why I wanted to ask it. I'm like, I don't know if I should ask this. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to
No,
ask
it's fine.
that,
I will say that even if you hadn't asked about, when anyone asked me, did you take any classes or did you have any teachers who taught you stand up? I bring up Tony Sparks on my own because
Right.
that little talk that he gave me after that like second open mic that I ever did, like I said, rules I still follow. So that's not even me just bringing it up because you brought it up. I'm happy to say that Tony Sparks was that mentor for me back in the day.
he's still doing that now. And that's the fact that like really like perplexes me because like even like no matter where you're coming from, no matter what walk of life you're coming from, he's always helpful. And so the fact that like he gave you information that you're still using now, because like obviously like you tell some people, hey, record your set. They're like, oh, I don't think I need to do that. I'm like, you need to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, just things like that.
Do you think though, because you guys said that this guy also teaches comedy. Do you guys think that you could? Oh, he doesn't.
Oh, I don't know if he does, but he never taught me. I'm saying he was like Mike. That's the closest I got to having a teacher was the what he told me after that show.
Okay.
So I never took a class. I just did his open mics. I did the open mics that he ran, and he gave me that advice. And I don't think he ever gave me other advice besides that. It was just because he would never tell me how to fix a joke. He would just tell me what you need to do as a stand-up. Those things I just told you just now, like those things.
Okay, well then I was gonna say, do you think that comedy could be taught? Because I see all these ads on the Facebook, like comedy boot camp, learn from the best comics, and then it'll say, best comics like Jay Leno, John Lovitz, Trevor Wallace, all good comics, but I don't know if they could teach comedy. You know what I mean? So like, I was wondering, do you feel comedy could be taught like that?
Well, the thing is a lot of jokes can be boiled down to there's some things that can be taught, and a lot of joke writing can be boiled down to certain formulas. It can almost be looked at like a certain kind of math or science. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the key to it is then to say, take this thing that can be formulaic and make it your own, and that's really hard to teach, and it's almost impossible to teach. And also, while there's certain formulas like this, like the rule of threes or like analogies or things like that, but sometimes the formula is, and then here, use the funniest word. Here, think of the funniest image. And I don't know if you can teach someone what the funniest thing is. I don't know if you can teach a person that. I think that's where AI is going to falter, is that they won't understand how to do that. It's hard to teach what is the funniest dinosaur, what is the funniest dog. You know what I mean? Like you can eventually kind of understand it, but it's hard to. It's really ephemeral, those things. So there's some things you can teach and some things you just can't. I also think it's hard to teach, or almost impossible to teach charisma. I mean, people either have that or they don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm looking forward to AI fucking up all my scripts. So
wait, hold on a second. Have either of you two gentlemen seen the George Carlin special that was written on AI?
I started watching it a little bit.
Did you finish it? Did you finish?
No,
I felt bad. It was creepy.
I felt bad watching the first 2 minutes. Because I gave him views, and I really felt like I shouldn't have watched it. But I still like wanted to watch it a little bit. It's really creepy. It's creepy because it's creepy in that uncanny valley kind of way. You're like, damn, it does sound like something George Carlin would say, but it doesn't. Also, it really doesn't, and it really does at the same time. It tricks you. It tricks you into. It reminds you of how powerful a laugh track can be. Because he's like, he quote unquote is killing on there, and I'm like, I guess that's pretty funny, and I'm like, these laughs are off. Like The rhythm is off. It's all just a little bit off, and it's creepy as hell.
So like he stole the laugh track from Married with Children or something, right?
Oh, he's getting goofy laughs. They're cheering for him. Yeah, no ma'am, no ma'am club.
So Louis, I wanted to ask you because on IMDb it says, which I think you wrote it, but it says that Dave's old porn. It says you were a creative consult. I'm saying that word wrong. What's that word?
Yeah, consultant.
Consultant. Like, what's the difference between writing and consultancy for like that stuff? Because I don't know the difference between them.
Consultants, sometimes they'll well, there it just meant like he brought me in sometimes to like help out with certain ideas, like take a look at it and like help out with it.
Yeah.
Dave does that, with a lot of projects. I'll come in and just help out, and it's just nice for him to give me the credit. A writer would be there on a daily, regular basis, all that kind of stuff, like really writing stuff, but also consultant. So that was like Dave's own project. He funded that himself, so it's different. A lot of times they'll have you as a consultant and not even accredited consultant when they want to pay you less money on a show. So there's guilds and there's staff rules of how much you have to pay someone, and sometimes they want to have another writer, but they don't want to pay them the full amount. So they'll have you come in as a consultant. Maybe you come in a little less, do a little less work, and you get paid less money. That's what it is. Yeah.
Maybe I was a consultant then, because I was the least paid writer on the whole staff, but I was the worst one too. So I don't know.
No, you could have just been the worst one.
Oh, okay, cool.
Keith, say what show it was, because otherwise it leaves a lot of context. Like, oh yeah, there's a nobody show.
I wrote for Norm Macdonald has a show on Netflix.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, I toured with Norm for 9 years, so like he was my best friend.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
He's like, seriously, when I was sometimes I get burnt out on comedy. I'm like, none of the shit makes me laugh. He still makes me laugh. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happens, but he still makes me laugh.
Same.
And after he died, I listened to. So I'm sorry for your loss, because that's a personal loss. But I listened to the book with him narrating it, and it's the book on tape. His book, and it's like it's so well written.
It's more sad. Yeah.
It's sad, but it is sad. It is sad, but I still like to hear it, and I think it's I don't know. I do think about him pretty regularly. Actually, it's kind of weird. I'm also like, I'm starting to get into a little bit into like country music, and I know he likes like outlaw country, and Billy Joe Shaver, I think, a lot is like he mentions him a lot. I don't know. You would know better than me, but it makes me like see what he did in a different way. Like I almost maybe like he saw. I mean, see, I'm talking about my ass because you actually knew him. Maybe he saw himself as like this kind of like just like a country outlaw, like a comedy outlaw in a way. I know that's kind of corny, but like him gambling and losing all his money, his not giving a fuck on with everything, and that's like really what saved him and make him not saved him, but made him so funny all the time, was like truly seemed like it, but balancing like totally caring, because he would crush all the time, but also like not giving a fuck. It's such a he walked that line, man. I don't know. I could just go on and on about Norman, and it's silly for someone who actually knew him for me to say this stuff, but I just think he's amazing.
I'll tell you a quick story, which I think is probably the best Norm story I've ever had, and I've said this before, but so we did the American Comedy Club, and I don't want to say the manager's name or whatever because I want to get into that club, but we did that club. And it's an 8 o'clock show. So I do my 10 minutes, Sean O'Connor does his 15, 20, whatever.
Nice.
And then Norm does his hour. But Norm did I want to say like an hour and 45 minutes. So it pushed the 10 o'clock show to 11 o'clock, and they can't sell drinks or whatever after 12 o'clock. So the next day, the Saturday night, the owner comes in, and he's like, maybe he's just like a really energetic dude or whatever. And he's like,
Keith being nice over here. Keith being nice.
Yeah. He's known throughout the business as an energetic dude. That's hilarious. That's a great euphemism. All right, go on.
So he's
Where
like,
did he
so
get all this energy? I wonder.
that's what.
Not the bathroom. Definitely not the bathroom. Okay, definitely.
So he goes up to Norm. He's like, "Hey Norm, I need you to do 90 minutes, because we got a second show, 90 minutes, keep it small. Keep do 5, have Sean do 10, 90 minutes, And Norm's like, but why? He's like, because we gotta sell alcohol, like all this stuff. And Norm's like, got it. So then on the first show, Norm's like, Keith, you do 5, Sean, you do 10. So we did that, right? And we thought Norm, was put in his place. So then Norm did 2 hours and a half.
Wow.
And then he gets off stage and he's like, I feel bad for the 10 o'clock show. And then we're like, why? He's like, because they're not getting out here till 3. And it was the funniest.
And they didn't, what I was thinking, like, why did they flash the lights on him? But they can't, because everyone in the crowd is a fan of his, right? So they want to keep seeing him, right?
Yeah.
So they can't like turn on the lights or cut off his mic or anything like that.
Oh, Louis, I swear to God, they were turning on. No one would ever cut a headliner's mic off. I mean, in my experience, that's never happened. I've seen it happen to like features and openers, but I've never seen it happen to a headliner.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess not. Man, that's wild. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 2 more questions for you. And one, this might be a question you might not even know or you have nothing to do with, but on your Twitter, it says you have 7K followers, which is great. On my Twitter, it says I have 2,000 followers, and I want it to say 2K followers. So I want to know, how do you change that?
This is a very interesting question. I get asked this all the time.
Oh, do you really?
No, hell no. What are you talking about?
I was like, in my mind, I'm like, really? Who else did you up about this? Louis, tell us. Who else? Name names. You're like,
because 2K sounds way better than 2,000.
Yeah, 2K is like, yeah, man, that's a new millennia. 2000. Who gives a shit?
I have no idea. I can't answer that question. I've never noticed that. I'm sorry, I can't help with that.
Keith has 3 more questions now.
I do have 2 more questions, and I wanted to respect your time. But this last question: if you could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself and tell yourself what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I mean, in regards to comedy or in regards to everything?
And life, whatever you think is important for a younger self to know.
Well, I do think, things have turned out okay in the end, but I really do think not jumping on board with any of these podcasting and social media to like kind of now, 23 years later in stand-up, I think is like a huge mistake. I don't know. I could see future me coming back, telling younger me that, and then younger me still being like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I totally missed the boat on all that. So I really but that would be the advice that I would give. Again, contrary to what I was saying earlier about how you got to focus on stand-up like an idiot. It's just you got to be aware of what's happening. And I do think if I'd started something earlier on, maybe it would have caught on by now or something like that, or just focused on it. It would have hit. But I didn't. So that's probably what I would tell the younger me.
Awesome. Victor, you got one more question for Louis before I ask my final one?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask this. You were talking about Tony Sparks earlier, but just in general, like, what piece of advice have you gotten that has resonated with you that you still use today?
I mean, those ones that he said, I guess, for sure. Well, I'd say the one I'm trying to use now is something like from therapy, actually, where it's like when you have a bad set, it doesn't mean you're not funny. It means you weren't funny that time.
Yeah.
And I have struggled to internalize that, but I think that's really good advice. I think it's just like to kind of let those things like roll off your back a little bit and not really sweat it as much. I think it's really important. So I don't know. That's something I've thought about recently. I'm sure there's many, many other things, but that's definitely one of them for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's just like something that you're using right now. And so if that's something that you're using right now, it's just, and I've thought of that too, because we've all had a set that didn't go how we wanted it to go. And you're just like, oh God, what happened? And you don't want to blame the crowd, but at the same time, there was like, me personally, last time I did a show, there was
I'll blame the crowd.
See, that's why you're a comic, and
Yeah.
I'm just a comic. No, that's a difference. But you know, the truth be to God, is just like, oh, why did that woman hate me? And it's like, oh, because I started talking to her instead of doing stand up. But you know,
Sure.
it's just, you know, things like personally, like with me. So I think that's a really great perspective with everything.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think it works.
Now, Louis, my final question for you is because you know, I'm not saying I'm in the same boat as you. You know, you're more established and successful than me, but I am very lost, especially, you know, after I lost Norm. I don't know how to get into these clubs and stuff. So I keep getting rejected and stuff. And I wanted to know, what is your advice for when you got rejected? How did you pull forward?
Just get back up.
Yeah.
Keep pushing. You know, I mean, it's like it's constant rejection. That's what I say about comedy. It's like, I mean, dude, on stage, it's minute by minute acceptance or rejection. It's what you have to do is accept that that's what it is.
Yeah.
So the only constant in a comedian's life is that there's nothing's constant, and so you just have to like absorb that and be okay with that kind of, you know. And also, if one thing's not trying or not working, if one thing's not working, sorry, not trying. If one thing's not working, maybe switch it up, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a huge switch up, but you know what I mean, like. And also, so switch. If one thing's not working, try a different place. Don't be mad about the places that don't let you in. Focus on the places that do. You know what I mean? Like wherever you get in there and make it work. You know. And was there something else I was going to say? I don't know. I can't remember, but maybe I'll remember it and say that also would be good. I can't remember the third thing I was saying. I was really on a roll there, and now I can't remember.
Well,
But I was saying,
I want to
switch it
go
up.
support you at Irvine on Thursday. So
Cool, come
Yeah.
through.
yeah. And then my last question is, where can the folks at home follow and support you at?
It's I'm on all the socials, Louis Katz Comedy, LOUISKATZ. Watch the special present tense on YouTube. And if you want to join my email list to find out when I'm coming to your town, text the word balls to 55444.
Whoa. Can you say that again?
Text the word balls to 55444.
Awesome.
How do you spell balls? What's the correct spelling of balls? Because there's a lot of ways to spell balls.
BALLS. No Z.
Nice.
S.
Oh, nice. I heard the female version, BAWLZ. Wow. The balls, you know, the vagina is stronger than testicles. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I agree.
Wait, what? The female version?
The female version of balls is WAL. I'm sorry, WAU. I'm sorry, WLZ. Balls.
What are you talking about? The female version of balls?
Yeah, Victor. Why don't
No, I didn't. No, I want to make sure
uh,
that it's the correct spelling of balls. No Z, actual balls.
What is the female version of balls? Like what? I'm saying,
Okay,
what are you literally talking about?
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
no, seriously. There was literally some people that I knew that referred to their lady collective of hanging out as balls because they heard some internet slang where balls, where women are the nether regions are stronger than male testicles.
Oh, okay, all right.
Themselves as the balls, I'm sorry, BAWLZ balls. That was the name.
All right, that's very specific to these women that you knew. So I don't
No. I understand
the
now.
woman version of balls. Like, what are you talking about? You mean ovaries? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Ladies refer to themselves as.
I thought this was a new gender thing. I really thought that for a second. I'm not joking. I thought like when you transition, but you still have balls, it's BAWLZ. And that's what we call them. I really thought, I was like, what could he be talking about? That is ridiculous.
That's better than what I just proposed. And I didn't even propose it. I just told you the description of these ladies that would meet up. They would call themselves the balls. So I want to make sure we have the correct spelling of balls.
BALLS to 55444.
All right.
So that's it.
Well,
but
Louis,
hey, thank you guys.
Thanks you so much for talking with us, buddy. And it was fun.
Yes, I appreciate it. That was a good time, man. Thank you guys for having me. Sorry it was such a difficult getting a hold of me, but I'm a little crazy right now.
No worries.
Thanks for being so patient. I appreciate it.
Thank you again. We appreciate you, buddy, and have a good day.
Right.
And we'll see you later.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right, guys. That was the interview with Louis Katz. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and he left. And
For those who don't have the video.
For those who don't have the video, he left.
He left. No, that was a great interview, man. It was fun.
It was great. It was awesome. Louis Katz. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on what are we now called?
Fuck. A good old time.
A good old time.
Good old time with balls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We gotta work on that. But okay, well, all right, guys.
we gotta work on that.
We'll see you guys next week on Razor Riffs.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.